Now the graph, which is actually more interesting, so by this point I'm going to close the original service graph because we know what it looks like, and it's actually, you can see it reflected in everything else. I'm going to close that, and instead I'm going to draw a new graph which is for the access card. And this is, in a sense, this is the most crucial graph to understand in STEM. It's the capacities graph for resource. It explains how it's being deployed. And let me stick it up in the corner. So this graph has 3 lines on it. It has the used capacity, which is how many ports are being used, which goes from 0 up to 1,000. It has how many ports are not being used. It's the slack capacity, which at the moment, as you can see, STEM thinks is never very many. And then the install capacity will be going up in blocks of 16. If I look at a table, you'll see that basically the install capacity goes up 32, 16, 160, 384. It's always in multiples of 16. And you can see that it thinks the slack capacity is a number that's never bigger than 16. In fact, it's never bigger than 15, technically. Now, what's wrong with that result?
I can see that in year 3, I have 0.
That's because the demand must be exactly 384. So it just so happens that the number of customers is a multiple of 16. But there's something more fundamentally wrong with it. Let me draw another graph to give you a hint. So for a resource, another graph, useful one, is the utilization ratio. So this is the utilization ratio for the card. I'm not going to leave this on the screen for long. Anything suspicious about that?
It looks like from the other years we have a constant utilization.
That's right. Basically, it's very quickly gets to 100%, and then it, apart from the few spare ports it's not using, it hovers around 100%. And the thing is, any telecoms engineer would look at that and say, hang on, that looks a bit suspicious. Why is it so efficient? And what the question you should be asking yourself is, how many slack ports do you think there might be within this business?
It should be at least 10% of the, if we take each, if let's say we are doing proper arrangements per access card, it will be good to leave, especially because you define the customers based on, so it will be good to leave at least 10% in each card.
Okay, that's all right. So that actually would be in the resource. There are things here where you can tell STEM to either impose a maximum utilization on the device or to impose some kind of minimum slack capacity, where you can say, I always want to have 3 ports spare or whatever. You can do that.
Okay.
But actually, in this example, I'm trying to keep it really simple. So without that, there is another more fundamental reason why the utilization shouldn't be this big. So even if you're going to use every port that you can in your cards, on a given day, how many spare ports would you expect to find? Given that your demand's gradually increasing, so it could be, you know, in any of your chassis, you could look at the last card you put in, and the number of spare ports could be anywhere between 15 and 0. But across your business,
if you put in new card at any point in time, it will be, you are likely to have about 10.
Yeah.
Because the reason is that if you will be leaving slack in each slot along the way. So let's say I've reached here, 4 of my slots are complete, because if I have 1%, 10%, it means it's approximately 2. So in case I have 5 cards in, it means I'll have 10. So based
Okay.
on
Yeah, okay,
yeah.
I'll cut you off there, because I'm basically saying that even though we could be doing that, I actually don't want to do that. I don't want to leave any not used if I don't have to. The missing factor, and this is a really crucial thing, because this is actually more important than all of the other perfectly valid things you suggested. The crucial dimension, and I would say this is the third dimension that counts more than anything, at least at the beginning of a business plan, isn't being fussy about a few spare ports here and there. It's not leaving overheads. It is that you've got your capacity, you've got your lifetime, and then you have geography. And the crucial thing, which I kind of deliberately skipped to see if you'd pick it up, is one of the key assumptions about this business is that the customers are located at one of a number of discrete, physically separate sites. So the access card, which is in location 1, for example, can offer ports to customers that are near location 1, but it's no use at all to customers that are near point 2 or point 3 or point 4, all the ones up to point 25. So what's most suspicious about this curve, and the fact that it's telling us that we had a very small number of where's it gone? I've lost the table. A very small number of unused ports, is because at the moment STEM doesn't know that there are supposed to be 25 discrete sites.
Okay.
So the graph we're looking at here, which is where the installation really tightly hugs the requirement, is because STEM doesn't know there are supposed to be 25 of them. So it's literally saying, how many customers have you got? It's dividing by 16 and rounding up to the next whole number. It's not doing anything more subtle than that at all at the moment. And that's why it looks so miraculously good.